The following podcast reflects the views and opinions of the hosts and guests only. They do not reflect the views or opinions of any agency or specific members of an association. At times, colorful language may be used and may be unsuitable for people under the age of 18. Discretion is advised.
Hey, welcome back to the podcast, everybody. I'm Steve Grammis, president of the LVPPA. It stands for Las Vegas Police Protective Association. With me as always, well, not as always, the last time it was my brother, but this time it is
Dan Coyne. I'm now the treasurer of the LVPPA.
Yeah, he's been promoted. My brother, who will be out the door at the end of the year.
He's a quitter.
Yeah, he's definitely a quitter. He's quitting on the profession. He's quitting on the union. He's quitting on us. He's quitting on his little brother. He's just an all-around quitter. But Dan's stepping in as our treasurer and our money guy, which is great because Dan is very conservative and likes to see us make a lot of money. So welcome back. This is episode number 8, as we've been instructed. I want to say the increase in viewership has been amazing since our last. I think we're at over 3.1 million. Is that correct from our folks in the back? Yeah. Okay. So 3.1 million and climbing. We have the ticker here in the office so you could see it, but it just continues to roll. Super happy with the people that have tuned into us.
Well, and with the increase in membership, we've gotten a few new sponsors out of that.
Yes. One that's near and dear to my heart and probably a lot of our viewers is Kirkland's signature crystal clear cutlery. When you're having a barbecue and you need some cutlery, Kirkland Crystal Clear Cutlery will do the job.
And always Bud Light. This Bud's for you. More of a Busch Light guy, but they're a little bit more selective.
Yeah, and they refuse to sponsor us. So, we'll step out in front and thank the folks at Bud Light, really thank the folks at Kirkland Signature, some of the best cutlery. I, myself, in my home, I actually wash it and use it again, just like paper plates.
It's cheaper.
Yeah, it's a lot better that way. Okay, so we got some stuff to cover in today's session or today's show. We'll give a little overview, update on the Nevada legislative session, our own contract update, which Dan was instrumental in with Scott Nicholas getting done. We got some videos, and we're going to respond to one of our people from South Dakota, Mr. John Davenport. Has a question, and we're going to get to that, and we appreciate you tuning in, Mr. Davenport, and we'll answer your question as best as we can. So we'll open up with the session. So this legislative session was not like the other ones. COVID impacted it. It really wasn't open until probably the last month of May. In the last month of May, there was a lot of things trying to be rushed in. Myself, Scott, and John Abel were up there. Chad came up there a little bit. Even had one night where our apartment totally flooded in the middle of the night at 5 a.m. But we stayed strong. We stayed up there. We stayed fighting. And in the end, coming out of the session, as compared to how some of these bills started, we fared okay. It wasn't great. There were still some attacks on our police profession and some changes that are going to come to our cops in the future. I think one of them is the documentation of race and things like that for car stops. For our traffic officers, that's going to begin probably January of 2022. And for our regular patrol officers that don't have the electronic tickets, it'll start January of 2024. That gives the departments time to create a new paper citation so that they can put the information on there that's wanted by the politicians and the folks that know how to do police work the best. The civilians that were elected and saying.
And that's just going to be a box they check then?
I think so, yeah. Okay. It was about making it as easy as possible. For those that were here during the AB 500 days, we used to have this separate Scantron. You had to fill the whole Scantron out, bubble in the boxes, turn them in at the end of the night. And the truth is that it actually shrunk proactive work because cops were like, listen, I'm not going to keep doing these forms. It's a waste of time. If I'm going to write a ticket, I'll write a ticket. If I don't, I want to cut someone loose and go to the next call, next stop. And so guys just stopped doing them. And I'm sure there was a reduction in proactive work as far as car stops went. So David also puts out a lot of information. Our officers have commented through briefings, through text, through emails to us about how helpful David's videos are. So if you go to davidroger.us, he always has all of his videos posted on there. And as usual, we will send them out to our folks. If you're not in the state of Nevada and you want some updates from one of the best attorneys in the country, I believe, for those that don't know, David was a 3-term elected district attorney for this Clark County. And during his 3rd term, he came and worked for us. If you want to check out his website as well, check it out. It's got a lot of good information on it. Contract update. Dan, I'll let you take that because that was right in your wheelhouse.
So yeah, we TA'd the contract on I believe July 26th. It's going to fiscal affairs to get signed off on, and then we can see retro pay from July 1 on it, starting the first paycheck of August. The particularities of the contract are this year we're going to have a 3% COLA, like I said, effective July 1, and a $750 bonus that we negotiated kind of as a thank you to our guys for dealing with COVID, the riots, pretty much stepping up to the plate, working harder last year while a lot of other people stayed at home and didn't have to. So we got that on because of that. However, they went and extended the same thing to everybody else on the department, that same $750. I guess they deserved it as well. So going on in the future, the contract's going to be tied to CPI. It stands for Consumer Price Index, and pretty much what the Consumer Price Index is the Bureau of Labor Statistics pretty much it's kind of like a basket of goods. Anything you spend money on to live is going to be pretty much calculated in the CPI. So housing, transportation, energy, groceries, transportation, cars, things like that.
Purchasing Bud Light, purchasing
Kirkland's
Crystal Clear cutlery.
Tobacco and alcohol, I believe, count for 7% of the CPI. So they take all those goods, and monthly they go in and see how much it's up from the prior month. We will file under a Class B and C sized Western city because we're under 2.5 million people. We're at like 2.3, I believe, right now. So if you want to track it monthly, which I do, is you go onto the Bureau of Labor Statistics.gov and go to the Western B, C-size cities. I believe we're at 3.06% for the year right now, and that's from January to May. So from the future going forth, it'll be tied to that CPI with the lowest, pretty much the floor we have is a 2%. So we'll never get less than a 2%. For those years, 2012, 11, 10, we were getting way below 2%. We had a few 0 years. So now we'll at least have that 2% to fall back on, and the ceiling will be 3%. So the most we'll ever get is a 3%. So right now, as long as the next 7 months of the year report at least a 3% and keeps that average there, we'll get another 3% next year. Unless in the future ourselves or the department negotiates their way out of that agreement, we can expect to see between a 2 and a 3%. With the 3% COLA and the 0.75% reduction for the PERS increase, which is paid for half by us, which is 0.75%, and half by the department, 0.75%. We will be at $94,200 and change for a topped-out regular officer at step 10.
Nice. And so some of the people during the contract, after we sent it out for a vote, well, hey, county fire got 4.5% and $1,500 sign or bonus money, and you just look at those numbers at face value and you go, wow, why didn't we get what they got? Maybe explain to our folks the difference between where we're actually at and where others are actually at.
So county fire did not get a 4.5% raise this year. They got a 2.5% raise last year, which is what we got. However, last year they were at a 0. They kind of froze, and they waited to come out of COVID, see how the city was, and they were paid back for that 2.5% without back pay. So we got that whole year of 2.5%. So it's actually written in their contract that last year they got a 2.5%, and then this year they got a 2 with a $1,500 bonus. The county offered us the same deal that fire did. But in the end, they thought that our job was more important, more dangerous, and gave us a 3% COLA with a $750 bonus. They did extend that $1,500 bonus with a 2% COLA to us, but we thought our people would like the 3% COLA more.
And then they also gave up vacation days, right?
So I guess they gave up 6 holidays is what Scott was saying, and Scott knows a little bit more because he called over to their union on it.
Yeah, and I think it was actually reported in the newspaper. SEIU, their new contract and all the county workers was that they gave up, I thought, 6 paid holidays and only got 1 back.
Okay.
Plus the 15. I believe that's what it was, but. Again, so when you hear people talk about, oh, this person got that, it's all relative. A couple years back, San Diego got a 20% pay raise, and people are like, hey, why don't you guys get that? Well, look where they were at. Look where their numbers were at. Look what their cost of living was at. Look how much they were making. Look how many employees they had. A lot of stuff factors into it. Guy from my academy, not using any names, he's a non-member, so it is what it is. But he's running his mouth saying, well, Walmart employees got a $1,500 bonus. We only got $750. Hey, go work at Walmart and get a $1,500 bonus and take your minimum wage and have a good time with it. If $1,500 is important to you. Or go work one shift at the jail and probably make as much as they make in a month. So, that good update on that. Want everybody to know that. And again, our folks that are partners with us across the country that are in the unions, you got to reach out to us about, some of the dynamics of where we were at, where we got to, why we got there. Just reach out to us at podcast@lvppa.com or us directly if you have our direct numbers or direct lines.
If you look at if we had this floor of 2% and ceiling of 3% over the last 10 years and compare it to what we actually got in COLAs over the last 10 years, it vastly outperforms what we had. So we're hoping that it's going to be the same thing. The next 10 years, it performs well. I'm thinking we're worst case scenario guaranteed, and I'm saying worst case because I'm counting this 3% we've gotten, and then so far as this year's numbers for the CPI, we're going to get a minimum of 22% in merit increases over the next 10 years, and that's a lot higher than what we've actually had in the last 10 years.
Well, I won't be here for 10 more years. I will hopefully be here for 5, but I definitely won't be here for 10.
Be a quitter like your brother.
I will be a quitter. At some point, I'm going to quit. Retirement is quitting, and so, yes, I will quit at some point. All right. So next thing we got is video of a teacher. So my wife actually, shout out to the Floppa. We call her the Floppa, the first lady of the PPA, is also a dispatcher for LVMPD. And she showed me this video. It's kind of shocking about a teacher. Now, this is someone supposed to be objective on the material and listen to students' thoughts and not really degrade students or treat kids differently because of their thought process. And so she showed me this video of an interaction over a Zoom meeting with a teacher, her student, and there's someone else in this video that I assume has the same standpoint as the teacher, but it basically boils down to the young man in the video, and if he ever hears this or sees this and would love to be on our show and talk to us about his support for law enforcement, he expresses that he believes police officers are heroes, and the teacher takes offense to that and starts to kind of degrade and attack the kids. So we'll let it's not very long, it's like 2 minutes, we'll let it play out, and then you kind of see where the folks that are supposed to be molding our young minds, where their head's at as it relates to law enforcement.
Good afternoon, you two. We talked to that student this morning in an interview. He told us that he was shocked by what happened in class. The teacher won't be teaching that class anymore, but he is back in it today.
And sit there and grade it objectively.
Who do we call when we're in trouble and someone has a knife or a gun?
I wouldn't call the police.
Why wouldn't you call the police?
I don't trust them.
A Cypress College adjunct professor is now on leave after a Zoom video of an exchange with student Braden Ellis, who calls police heroes, went viral.
I think cops are heroes and they have to have a difficult job, but we have to have
all of them?
life. Oh, I'd say a good majority of them.
Ellis gave a presentation on cancel culture and police in his verbal communication class. In a discussion afterward, the professor interrupted him multiple times, not agreeing with his support of law enforcement.
I have bad people in every business and every art.
Yeah,
Well, wait.
Police officers have committed atrocious crimes and have gotten away with it and have never been convicted of any of it.
Ellis says he felt attacked.
I was shocked. I didn't really expect an answer like that. I was assuming that she would play devil's advocate, and but she put her bias in there, and she gave me what she thought of the police, and it was a little bit sad, to be honest with you.
And that he worries conservative students can't express themselves properly in college.
I want to say to people that are listening to Kate that we need to have unity back in our country.
She's interrupting almost everything.
Civil debates again, left, right, and center.
The school has released a statement, part of it reading, Cypress College takes...
And that's something through my coursework in college, and I don't know if you've experienced the same thing. A lot of these colleges are the professors and the coursework is kind of anti-police.
Which courses right now are you talking about?
There's too many to mention.
Is there? I know my courses right now are statistics, sociology, and criminal justice. Which ones are you looking into as the tip of the spear on our free college, which is going amazingly?
I'm currently enrolled in multiple classes for the summer session. I just haven't logged on yet, and it's been a month.
Big shout out to Eastern Gateway Educators and the Central State Marauders. I appreciate you guys.
The Gator.
I know a lot of our officers have taken advantage of the programs you guys offer to us for free, and thank you to Washington National for doing that. But just a little side joke with Dan and I. That
since BG quit, I got too much time on
that is true.
The bills,
taking over the bills is a lot, and that's not a joke. That literally is a 2 to 3 hour a day straight dealing with our bills. But so going back to this, you're right. There are some classes that the online is interesting because they pose on the line Exchangeogram. They pose the question. And it's hardly ever like supportive of law enforcement or whatever. It's typically how have they changed over the years? How can they be better? What impacts if negatively have they had on your life instead of I actually wrote a paper that it was their intent was to get our position against law enforcement, and I said, you know what, respectively, I'm going to write it the other way and talk about why they should be revered and thanked. Like this young man did, and
our thinking will not be skewed.
No, and so to this young man that is probably between the age of 18 and 22, he's at a college.
I like how he stood his ground, though.
Yeah, and like you said, he's calm. You see her eyes get big, her eyebrows lift. She's getting very animated with her motions and that, and this kid's just saying, listen, I whatever you think of police. When 1 October happened here, our cops were running. Well, not all of them. There were a couple hiding in a suite below the shooter's level that are non-members.
One in the bathroom.
Yeah, getting drinks. But most of them went to the call and said, "Listen, we're going to put our life on the line." When those things happen, it's always the cop going in and others running the other way, and that's okay. That's what's supposed to happen. But you shouldn't take the position that you want to badmouth those people. In the profession, and where she said a lot of police officers have committed crimes that were a flat-out fabrication of the true facts and true numbers. Are there bad people in our profession? Of course there are. Are there bad people in teaching? Yeah, you saw them. Are there airline pilots that are drunks and fly planes drunk? Sure. Doesn't mean every pilot's a piece of crap. So to the teachers, we don't think you're all bad just because that lady's a flat-out idiot. But again, to the kid, if you ever hear this or we have some tentacles that reach to where you're at, if you ever want to come to our show and talk about it, we are the number 1 rated podcast with we just cracked 4 million with over 4 million followers.
We're also the only non-NASCAR related podcast to be sponsored by Bud Light.
Correct. And we use the term sponsored loosely, but we do use it. So good video, good find. Thank you, honey, for getting that to me. And we're going to move on. What do we got here? California AG police shootings. So I whenever Adela gives us these podcasts, flowcharts and that, I study them for days.
We went over these 5 minutes before.
JD, I think we've got some like a fridge or something. There's some noise sounded like something maybe burst or something like that. But so when I the last 3 nights pondering this topic alone,
this kind of is what we have in Nevada.
Very close, and here's my contention.
Ag Ford.
Here's my contention with it is, you take a police agency that is not political and have them investigate other police officers. You're going to probably get a fair and impartial, non-driven investigation. No outcome driven. It's just going to be fair. Now, when you start including politicians, and the Attorney General's office is a political position. Aaron Ford, our Attorney General, is a Democrat. He's a part of the Democratic Attorneys Generals of Nevada, of the United States, whatever it is. He has a slant to his party. The Republicans have a slant to their party as well. When you turn it over to a political office, depending on the way society is asking them to enforce things, you will see them overzealously go after things that they shouldn't to appease their political party, as opposed to doing what's right. You look at our sheriff. Our sheriff's a nonpartisan position. It's for a reason. You shouldn't care about Democrat, Republican, Independent. You should care about what's right and wrong. The AG's office should be that way, in my opinion. It should be a flat-out nonpartisan position, but it's not. And so you're going to turn over to California AG, who's probably going to start investigating far more and probably come back with more cases to a grand jury, and they'll say, well, what's the problem with it? Well, the problem is you put an officer through a lot for a not guilty, for an acquittal, because you just wanted to play favor to the political machine that's moving.
And it's so out of their wheelhouse. I'm not speaking about all AGs, but Ag Ford, he has zero experience investigating, defending, prosecuting criminal cases at all. And in fact, I believe we have a newspaper article that states that he didn't even know what a larceny was.
Yeah.
So now you don't even know what a larceny is. You don't have any experience investigating any criminal cases. Now you're going to investigate police shootings. What makes you qualified? Because you won an election?
Well, that's it. Elections have consequences. It's the same as the people in the legislature that pass laws. Elections have consequences. There was a person at the legislature that did not know what the Fourth Amendment was. Wow. And we're talking about police interaction and seizing people, and the person actually asked another union police representative, what is the Fourth Amendment? And that's what you're up against. And to your point, like with the AG's office, it's like this one in particular. The law in California said that the AG will investigate unarmed police shootings. Well, why not do them all? Either do them all or don't. Why do we have to be just subjective?
They want to make a statement,
Yeah. Someone's not armed. It doesn't matter what the officer went through or saw. All that matters is the person was unarmed and they couldn't have harmed the officer. And it is the direction places are heading. However, there's elections coming in the future. Midterm elections are coming, and at the end of the day, every citizen is even looking at our state. Now, I don't know this for sure, but I've had conversations with folks that have said they have reported cases of deeder fraud, unemployment fraud, like guaranteed cases, to the AG's office, and the AG's office has done nothing with it. Now, I don't know that for sure. That's what they have told me. I haven't seen we do know at Metro there is fraud going on with the deeder system because many of us have been included as victims.
I got a letter about it.
I would think that that's impacted more than just people here in the city of Las Vegas or in Clark County. It's probably across the state because it's a state program. That's something the AG's office should be doing. I haven't seen a big briefing on them making multiple arrests for deeder fraud on a crew, which this person that talked to me said it's literally a crew of people that are doing the same thing. And they tried to turn over the info and they said, we're not really looking into that right now. So okay, then what's the Attorney General going to do other than, we're going to come after cops? So it's going to be interesting. Hopefully in California the recall goes well. You get a governor there that could be supportive of law and order, and that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about just law enforcement, law and order on all sides of the spectrum. We look at the incident that happened January 6th at the Capitol. There were people that were not abiding by law and order. Hold them accountable. There were people during the protests, during the summer, that were not acting within law and order. Hold them accountable. Hold them all accountable, every single one. Don't be selective on what you're going to do. And I just saw Newsom from California is dumping $1 billion into the state for he's trying to cover his name and make himself better for his election or his recall election that's coming up. You're no Ron DeSantis, Mr. Newsom. So good luck. Hopefully they throw you out and you get somebody over there that can do a good job. All right, what we got next? All right, next topic, and there's one we'll just do real quick. Adela has it up. So this officer was getting interviewed, and during the interview was playing Taylor Swift, right? T-Swizzle was playing her, and can we play that real quick?
So you're saying that there's a genuine concern that you have that someone's going to trip on this bench? You can't keep
Let's go back to the beginning. It was on the walls, right?
Oh, I guess he knows he's being recorded.
He's being harassed, bothered.
What is the difference? What is the difference?
Put it back up on the wall?
What is the difference?
You're saying, I don't know why are we having a dance party now?
Did you? Are you playing pop music to drown out the conversation?
He doesn't want you recording, so he's playing.
Why? Why do you have to
You can record
hide?
all you want. I just know it can't be posted on
He starts playing Taylor Swift.
This is the new hotness right here. Is that the recording is looking at a copyright screen? That's cute.
I don't understand. If it's completely legal, why would you worry about it being recorded?
Maybe he just likes
You'd only do that if you knew you were being
T-Swizzle.
asked.
Taylor Swift is amazing.
Who doesn't? Except for, what's his face?
I don't understand. If it's completely legal, why would you worry about it being recorded?
This is who? What's his name?
So dumb.
What's his name? What's the sergeant's name? Do they have it?
It's really not a big deal, and the guy gets in trouble for it.
What is it?
Deputy Shelby.
Deputy Shelby. Mm-hmm. Deputy Shelby, we salute you, man, from the LVPPA.
Funny.
What a great move. That is so genius to say, yeah, I can play this and you can't upload it to YouTube. That's so funny. I just that just really tickles me because everyone yells at us about, hey, we're just following the rules. We can stand in your face, we can curse at you, we can flip you off, call you any name we want to, and freedom of speech, you can't do anything about it.
We can't play Taylor Swift.
Yeah, well, he flipped the script on them and said, let's have this conversation, but we're going to listen to some T-Swizzle, and good for him. Maybe the next one would be that driver's license song. Maybe someone could do that one. Got my driver's license today. That girl's got problems.
Never heard it.
You're missing out. It's a good. It's not bad at the end, but it's another. She's trying to be like Taylor, like she's been dumped. I think my wife even said the guy doesn't even know the girl, and she's just like nutso.
Really?
Yeah, apparently like he doesn't even know who she is. So, I mean, I can understand it. You know, I mean, Adela knows how many fan mail I get from ladies and photos and
propositions.
Yeah, I mean, it's so when you're in the limelight with our 4.39 million viewers now, it's going to happen, you know. And I remember you had the crew of girls that showed up to your house, how they found the address, you know. So it happens.
Googled me.
Yeah, but yeah, good on you, deputy. That's pretty funny. Yeah, Dominican airport, no doubt about it. Person come right up to me. Hey, Steve, what's going down? That's nothing. All right. Officer reassigned after Thin Blue Line comments. So this one's kind of interesting, and why it's interesting is the hypocrisy of society is why it's interesting, and I'm going to reveal to you why I feel so. So pull that up, because I think was she wearing a pin?
So I guess it was part of her uniform.
Yeah.
The Thin Blue Line, and she just made comments on what the Thin Blue Line meant to her. It was family, love, you know, honor, and the school board requested that she be reassigned after it, and I think it kind of plays into our first video where, these teachers and school officials are letting politics and their own opinions play too much into their careers.
To me, it's about honor, it's about pride, it's about kinship. I even said love. I've got children, I've got family, and I think to me, when I spoke, it was really about all the things that it means.
So now look behind her. Is that their patch?
Yes, it was in their patch.
And it has a thin blue line on the patch.
Yep.
So it's their uniform, approved by their agency to wear. What a group of anti-police people twisted the words of a police officer. There's no way. That makes no sense.
Would never happen.
So the reason this is funny to me is back when, had to be about four years ago, maybe 5. And a public defender wore a Black Lives Matter pin into a judge's court. And many of our officers reached out to me and said, "Hey, this isn't right. They shouldn't wear it." It talks about, back then the Black Lives Matter website would talk about this is a political organization, and so they're saying, hey, there's just no place for this in the court while you're at work, working for the county, for something like that. It's not a part of a uniform, nothing. So I fired off, as I usually do, an email or a letter or whatever to the judge and some other folks. And so I caught some backlash. How dare you say someone can't wear a pin, someone can't support a group that they believe in, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward, here we go. Someone wearing on their uniform the thin blue line, and everybody's triggered that, that means this, that means that. The people that talk about what it means, they have no idea what it means. But it's just funny how we go from, hey, this group over here, you can do what you want and wear what you want and say what you want and show what you want. This group over here, you can't do it. And you should be reprimanded or removed from your position because you're doing it. It's stupidity at its finest, in my opinion.
Everybody but us.
Yeah. But listen, the pendulum always has to come back the other way. No pendulum stays on one side of where it's at forever. It has to move back, and I think we're starting to see.
I've been hearing that a long time. I'm waiting.
Well, I'll tell you what. This paying $4 a gallon for gas. People's businesses being shut down. I saw something in the news the other day. It said apparently President Biden calls creating new jobs when he shuts down businesses and just brings the people back to work, new jobs. That's kind of funny, but that's literally what they're doing.
Well, so kind of go back into the whole contract thing now that we're talking about Biden, and I did some research, and inflation is at the highest when you have a far left administration in power. So that's why we saw the cost of goods skyrocket since he's taken office, and be good for raises, at least for while he's in. So as long as he keeps on jacking the price of things up, we can see our COLAs get higher.
And that's good for us, but any civilians that don't do this job or work for a police agency or work somewhere where you collectively bargain, you just work at Walmart or you're not getting cost of living raises. They're giving you a little bit of money here and there, but when you have to pay $4 a gallon for gas and you can't get to work, remember who you voted for. Right, wrong, or indifferent, when Donald Trump was in office, gas was at an all-time low. I remember, I think we were paying under $1 a gallon when you had like your rewards points through Albertsons. Yeah. My wife would go to Chevron and she'd be like, "Oh, you got under $1 to fill our gas tank." And now you're paying.
Well, and we're one of the highest states for gas as well. I think we're like the top 3 states for the price of gas because it's taxed at such a high rate due to when they did that roads tax to improve all the roads and all that. Back in the great state of Ohio, where I'm from, I believe my parents were paying right around like $1.25 regular without the grocery points.
You know what though? You know who
groceries back there.
You know who doesn't raise prices? Stands flat against it?
The PPA.
And Bud Light and Kirkland's Crystal Clear Cutlery.
I thought you were going on, we haven't raised dues in 6 years.
Well, we haven't done that either. We actually dropped them. But when you need to slash prices, what better way to do it than with the fine, crystal clear cutlery knife of Kirkland's signature.
Smooth, refreshing flavor.
Yeah, and when you need to water down high prices, Bud Light's your answer. Pour it on those problems, and they just go away.
It's always brewed using the choicest hops.
Yeah, very good point. They have the best hops. All right, we did that one.
The 15.
Yeah,
things,
take the 15 things there, Dan.
So this is the first time we're going over it. So this is the 15 things cops wish the public knew about policing. Use of force isn't pretty. Now, anytime anyone wins a fight, it looks bad for the loser. And we always win the fight, so it always looks bad on us. So, yeah, that's true. And most of the time, whenever a video goes on the line, it's always the end. They don't ever catch what's leading up to it. Most cops will never shoot anyone. That's true. I don't know what the exact percentage numbers are, but it's most people in this department have never shot anybody. Cops will go to the extremes to avoid shooting people. That is true as well. In fact, I just watched a video on the line about a guy who was running around for half an hour pointing his guns at police officers, and I don't recommend it and putting your own safety on line for that, but they did not shoot him.
Yeah, that's
something I would never recommend.
That it almost potentially to the detriment of the cop that they will go so far to avoid shooting someone that they have every right under the law, under their policy to do. And nowadays we hear a lot of people, just because they're afraid of getting charged by a DA, an AG, sued, lose their job, lose their pension, so they're almost willing to sacrifice themselves for the safety of not shooting someone, which is insane.
Number 4, the people at the top don't often have a lot of practical experience. And this one is like, how true is this? And there are some exceptions, but they spend a brief time as working cops, then they transfer to a non-enforcement environment where they stay there until they get their first promotion. And I mean, that's so true. And I mean, most of the people at the top right now haven't even put a body cam on.
Yeah.
And turned it on every day. I think the last I was talking to CERT, and there was an incident at the jail, and one of the lieutenants they went to review the body cam, and the body cam was turned on one time in over a year, and that was during the body cam class. That they had to turn them on. So
I like that opening line. But most cops who become chiefs, sheriffs, or other high-ranking officers spend most of their career paving the path to promotion. They're more concerned about getting promoted and being a high-ranking official to tell others what they're going to do, rather than really learning the job and going out and doing it and then promoting. What a great number 4 should be like number 1 if we were ranking these.
Yes.
That's so funny because I can point to a ton of ranked people on our agency that probably couldn't investigate their way out of a paper bag or fight their way out of the same paper bag.
Even though they threaten us to fights all the time.
Yeah. Runs rampant at the jail.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, PTSD is a real commonplace. We've had two officers commit suicide this year, so that should probably be up in the number 2 right after number 1. All right. There are a lot of stress, but the stress does not come where you think it might. Most of the stress comes from the police station, which means the extremely political inner workings of the department and management intimidation.
How many times have you heard an officer say, "I'm more afraid of the people in my own agency than I am the bad guys out on the street"?
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that is directed at the folks who will just also be a part of that political machine and go after an officer just because they don't want to field calls that say, "Why are you defending this person?"
And, most of our officers who end up in officer-involved shootings are more afraid of what comes after from the department, nitpicking everything they did than, the fact that somebody just tried to kill them.
Yeah.
So there aren't all that many bigots. I mean, that goes unsaid. Some of our brothers and sisters, officers, often embarrass us.
I got a team of guys that embarrass the shit out of me. I mean, like, we have a wall of shame, whether it's John challenging people to fights. There's just embarrassment left and right. And it's amazing we get really good, solid work done.
I was embarrassed. I went to a political event, as you know, with John a couple weeks ago. And I mean, it's an upscale place, nice area, and
really ritzy.
And as we're leaving, he hits the elevator thing, and then he proceeds to just shit his pants right there. And I'm just not literally, but he passed gas, and I'm like, I see a crowd of people coming in, moving up and get behind us, and of course I'm like, oh shit! I'm like, you guys going up or down? And we were going up, and they're like down. They're like, actually no, we'll ride up with you and ride down. I'm like, you might want to reconsider that. And I look at him like, what are you thinking? But yeah, embarrassed me.
All right. I think he also peed all over a seat.
Oh Jesus! Yeah, he pissed all over the office the office toilet. I mean, like I go into the toilet, and when you're a guy, just kick the lid up for guys' sakes. But
or use the urinal. I mean, we have a urinal.
Since we've gotten sponsored by Bud Light,
yeah.
If he was drunk and lost his balance,
the
dude just leaves. Just looked like a freaking tidal wave came in.
Oh
yeah.
All right,
guy,
number 9.
Fucking savage. All right, it's number 9. My favorite police encounter story is not unique. I don't get that. Yeah. I'm gonna put that at the last.
I've never hung out with somebody that I actually dealt with on a car stop or call for service, and I think that's what this like. Most people immediately relate their most memorable contact with the police. It's usually a traffic stop. No. Hey, remember that time? It was awesome. You wrote me 8 tickets, towed my car. You're the best. No.
Yep.
Listen, we're gonna keep. You just stay over there.
Horrible.
Okay. You're throwing this at us like on the agenda the day of when we prep many days in advance.
The last 5, I'm gonna skip the seldom. We got becoming a cop is harder than you think. Yeah, you got to go through a 26-week academy. You have to then go through, I believe, it's up to 28 weeks of field training for patrol right now. It's like longer than the academy. I mean, it's a year of training before you can even get the job. And I mean, the entrance exam is not very hard anymore, or maybe ever. I passed it. Television does not represent law enforcement accurately. We got cops now. We got live PD. It's getting better.
Blue Bloods. Blue Bloods pretty accurate.
Yep.
Pretty accurate.
Lethal Action is pretty accurate.
What's that?
So there was a pretty hot guy who aired on Cops as well.
On Cops?
He has good hair.
Like, did he use a lot of product?
He did.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I knew a guy like that.
I need to pull it up.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. We should do that. Like on our next podcast, we should have the best of Metro's cops videos and put it out there.
The best hair.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I already know who's probably going to win that one, but overall,
I have one.
Yeah.
I'm going to nominate someone for that.
Okay.
They wanted him to cut his hair off actually, but we stopped that and we'll bring him in actually and for the best hair.
Yeah. What's 14? 14?
We wish you would stop telling your children we will arrest them if they are not good.
Yeah. Listen, as a parent, don't use backhanded threats to your kids like that. Like, just if you're going to do something, follow through on it. Cops ain't going to take a kid to jail just because they're a little asshole.
I tell my kid I'm going to take him to jail if he doesn't listen or clean up his room. It works.
Yeah, no, I go a different route. The mental warfare is far better. The fear of what could happen is far better than what actually does happen. But, yeah, don't use that as a scapegoat. I'm going to call the cops. Are going to arrest you because at some point they're going to know you're a damn liar, and they're going to call you out on it and go, hey, okay, call them. Go to your room. Yeah, stupid.
And then you don't understand police work unless you've done the job. That's true.
Yeah. Just because you know someone that's a cop, just because your brother was a cop, you don't know anything about this profession. That goes out to people passing laws or advocating to change police work. You don't know. You have no idea what we do. You're totally a novice to what we do, and you refuse to even learn what we do. But just understand, you're totally dumb to the situation that we work in.
All right. We have a question from one of our fans.
Yeah. So JD McFunnigans, actually John Davenport. Does anyone know JD McFunnigans? What?
Just go with it.
Nice. Yes. So
from South Dakota. It's a great state. Their state animal is a coyote.
Go Bison. Go Bison. That's North Dakota State. That's all right. So, John, you asked what does the PPA do? So the PPA's main function is we are the legal defense for our officers. We negotiate their contracts. We support them and represent them in internal investigations, whether it's an officer-involved shooting, just a discourtesy complaint. We also go, when they get in an accident, we go represent them at accident review boards. When there's complaints filed with our civilian review board, we represent them there. We step in and help with a lot of the human resources stuff between our department and our officers. And a lot of our time is spent fixing the misenforcement of our collective bargaining agreement amongst our agency. We have new sergeants, lieutenants that get promoted that have never read our contract, that think they can do a lot of things, and it's incumbent upon us as representatives to contact them, point them in the right direction on what the contract states, and stop actions that are being taken against our folks.
Well, summed it up pretty good.
So that's a snapshot of what we do. But if you have any other questions about anything, podcast at LVPPA.com. We'd be glad to answer it. We know we're in. We just cracked 4.7 million now on the ticker. Great show. But Adela says we have people listening in like Turkey, Italy, France. Like if you have stuff that you're like, hey, how does it go there? We're willing to answer it and give you a straight answer and not kind of give you some BS answer or whatever. We'll give you the straight shot. So if you have anything, let us know. All right, we got videos.
I think we went through most of them.
Yeah. Do you have the one that Dan?
Oh yeah,
Deputy Trips. Yeah, it's at the bottom. One. Yeah, this is a good one. This is an interesting one because our department is moving to fire an officer who defended his life from a person coming at him with a knife. And they're moving to terminate this young man who saved his own life and did his job.
And the distance is almost the same between this suspect.
Hold on. ED is personal. There's a pill. For those listening, erectile dysfunction is not a joke. Take it serious. Use your health insurance, but don't be. It doesn't just affect you. See, it doesn't just affect you. It affects your partner too. Probably our next sponsor. Who was that? Huh? Hims? All right, that's not FDA approved. We need an FDA approved.
We're gonna need to get a sample pack
ED pill. Yeah. I'm not getting in business with Extends or Hims. So watch this to your right. Hold on. Shot him a few times. Still fighting. Still armed.
Stabbing him.
Still stabbing at him. Officers created distance. Guy has stopped advancing. He stayed down. There's no more shots fired. Still has the knife in his hand, I believe.
Yeah, so that was in Biloxi, Mississippi. They have great seafood there as well. But our command staff would tell you to just go ahead and take a taser out because your backup's right there. We actually just drove away after.
That was a huge point of contention, and we're probably looking at about 5 feet here between him and that guy. But when a person's advancing on you with a weapon, they'll close that distance quite fast. You can't backpedal as fast as someone runs forward. You can't walk backwards as fast as someone walks forward. You can cover more ground. You can close that distance, and so
you can see it. I mean, the guy's shot a handful of times, and he's still stabbing them and coming after him.
And I'll assume those shots are center mass, hitting most of the vital organs if they're hitting. and that should shut him down, but it didn't. But so it's funny that Dan says that because there are folks on our executive staff of our agency, same scenario as that, very close, said that you could have holstered your weapon and pulled out a taser because backup is very close. Not there, not with the lethal cover in their hand. They're close, and there was a patrol car close. Now,
arrived.
Where the hell that person went when the person was running down the officer instead of getting out of the car and helping, I don't know. But that was stated to our officer that you could have holstered and gone to a non-lethal tool while a lethal threat is coming at you because someone's close. And so, we're dealing with a situation like that. That officer, I believe, still on the job, no issues. Our officer is going to be terminated, and we're going to fight vigorously to get our officer reinstated because it's just a horrible precedent to set to say that because someone's mentally ill, that if they're coming at you, that you may have caused the encounter because you went out on them or you went to approach them, that you caused an exigency and therefore you forced the action to shoot them rather than you could have just let them stand there all by themselves for hours and never had to shoot them.
The department brings in their own subject matter experts who agreed with what the officer did, and the brass from the department went ahead and ruled against what the subject matter experts recommended because they think they could have done it better and differently.
Think of that statement. Subject matter experts said what the officer did was reasonable. Investigators who are not subject matter experts disagree with the experts and say, we don't think it's reasonable. Then what is the point of bringing in a subject matter expert if you yourself are just deemed the expert? Yep. I don't know. And we'll find that out when we arbitrate this case in the future for this young man because it's unfortunate he has to go through it. But that's where we found ourselves in this particular shooting with us. And in that one there, you see it's not as easy as just shoot them and like TV, they just fall down or fly back 15 feet. They keep coming. And until their body says it's time to shut the lights out, they'll keep advancing and doing what they were trying to do. But if anyone's listening to this and there's a lethal threat coming at you, do not holster, do not go to a less lethal option by yourself. You have to wait for cover, and then you can go ahead and go to that less lethal option. That's it. All right. Steve, to close the show. Any final thoughts, Dan?
No, I think we covered everything. I'm excited to continually track the CPI, so if anybody wants to have an update of where we're at for the year, by January 10th, I will have the numbers for this year, and we'll know in January what our next COLA will be. So we can maybe put something out there. I'll write an article on it. The summer bash went great. Our summer bash party, we were able to give out six $5,000 scholarships from Leaf directly to Cops family, Cops kids who were seniors going into their freshman year of college. And looking at the numbers of donations we're getting, they're continually going down every quarter. So if you guys want to donate to a worthy organization, instead of doing those United Way forms, go out and fill out the Leaf one because it's going to directly benefit the people you work with and their families.
What is Leaf?
Leaf is the Law Enforcement Assistance Fund, and we kind of run that charity. And if there's an officer who's killed in the line of duty, a line of duty death, we will take care of the spouse, the children, their college, their room and board. We give them birthday and Christmas presents. It's something that we will use the money from there to stay in their lives, so they know a kind of reminder, of their dad, that now the department's still in their lives. They're not forgotten, and it's a way that we take care of our own. Did I miss anything?
Do you and me have a problem? Huh? I'm just checking.
That's what's going on nowadays.
Just checking.
Jail.
So a couple final thoughts from me to close. So one, we recently lost one of our officers to battle with COVID, Officer Swanger. been on the department for about 7, 8 years, I believe it is. There's a lot of stress on the officer's family. Is it going to be covered in the line of duty? Is it not? How is it different from other people that may have been covered? And my husband may not be. My father, my coworker. Very happy to say for those listening that met with Sheriff Lombardo on Tuesday. A lot of back and forth conversation, but in the end, our officer is going to be honored, and his death will be declared in the line of duty at the state level. I believe it's automatically inferred at the federal level from our last president, Donald Trump, getting that pushed through on COVID if someone dies in the line of duty. But we would be remiss if we didn't recognize Officer Swanger. Everyone that worked around him. Crazy thing is, he's only 7 days younger than me. He was born actually 7 days before I was, and
so 7 days after.
Yes, sorry, yeah, he's younger. I'm 7 days older. But kind of every description of him kind of reminds me of me. Kind of loud, joking, boisterous, nice guy. Would dress up as Santa for Christmas. Everyone knows me and knows I love Christmas. The PPA was happy to do everything they could to get that as declared an in the line of duty, and we thank the sheriff for doing the right thing on that one. Final thoughts. So a video went out to all of our members. It's on our LVPPA page. If you subscribe to it, you'd see things that we post on there. A lot of it comes from David, but the final thought I want to leave our cops with is this. Right now in this climate, it is not the time for you to go out and be the gung-ho superhero running into the husband beating up the wife type of scenario. Our department does not look at heroes and say, thanks for what you did. They will pick you apart, and they will take every action you did and say, did you pre-plan? Did you wait for other resources? Did you do this? Did you do that? Everything short of go and do your job. Our officer that's getting fired went out to do his job and is getting fired because he went out to do his job. So what I'm telling you all is this: slow down, slow everything down, slow down, get momentum on your side, contact your sergeant, put the decisions in their laps, wait for resources, call K-9, call the air unit, because if you don't go through all of those check marks and you end up in a fatal encounter, and I'm not speaking rhetorically, I'm telling you this is what happened. 45 seconds before our officer stopped that guy and had to shoot him. A sergeant did the exact same stop, got out of his car, approached a possible subject, and while it was argued, well, it was just a possible, they didn't really think it was. Well, if we don't really think it is, then we don't have reason to stop somebody. They went out and detained someone for a brief period of time and did the same thing our officer did. The only difference is our officer found the right guy. The right guy closed the distance and tried to kill our cop, and our cop defended himself. So when you're out there and your sergeant's telling you, go be gung-ho, go do this, go do that, the department will support you, they will not.
And there's a big, huge different standard on this department. What the sergeant's trying to tell these guys to do, if they go do it, they're not going to get fired. They're held accountable at a far less level than our guys. If our guys do want out and do it, they're getting fired. And we see it time and time and time again. We could go incident after incident where, even right now, we have guys up for termination, and there's people who are several levels higher than them that are not going to have anything done to them, and they're the true cause of the problem.
And I'll say that I don't think what the sergeant did was wrong either. We're the police. We go out there and we do police work. There's people that need our contact. We go out and contact them. When we were looking at 1 October, we had an officer get fired because he did not go rushing up into the hotel room, kicking a door down with a guy who has multiple fully automatic weapons to stop that threat. But then this officer who goes out on subject with a knife, that's suicidal, that called in on himself, setting up a fake call to get the cops to contact him. They want to fire our guy. So I want to be clear. I don't have an issue with what the sergeant did. I hope the sergeant realizes that he shouldn't do it either, and everyone slow down. So slow everything down. When it calls for you to go be the hero, be the hero. But when you have time on your side, they are going to come after you, and they are not going to play nice with you. They're going to get rid of you. We have an attorney general that will prosecute you. We have a DA that will prosecute you. And also, too, we've heard some comments about the legislative session. So as David Roger pointed out, it's no longer probable cause to stop somebody for jaywalking. Don't try and figure out how to get around the law. These people are not playing that will prosecute you for a civil rights violation. Same as the video he put out about the civil rights case that came through about stopping a car and identifying 15 passengers in the vehicle and demanding ID. These people will come after you. They will sue you. They will sue you. They will potentially put you in prison. Slow down. If the legislature, if folks up there set the rules, play within the rules. The rules right now are not favoring you going out and being gung-ho. They're favoring the criminals more than they're favoring you. And I can say that with certainty. All the conversation at this last legislative session was not about how to hold criminals more accountable, how to put criminals in jail longer, how to make crime stiffer. It was about you all and how to change you and reform you. So while we're in that environment, slow everything down, gather resources, get your supervisors there, start protocol, make sure your supervisor's aware and rolling. Don't go out on these people to try and do what you signed up to do. Go out and just wait and do what you need to do. And eventually, when the pendulum swings the other way, and we see it across the country, even Cuomo in New York, we were just reading about him saying that, crime's getting out of control. It's your fault.
Yep.
It's your fault. You politicians need to look at yourself, and when you're living in your $500,000 homes, away from the real problems in the cities you occupy, it's your fault. When your constituents go, hey, why is crime up? It's your fault. Don't blame the police. Blame you. Blame you for letting criminals out on the streets. So if anything, to any of my folks, and this goes across the country, everywhere, slow down. New York just overcame a ruling that you could not put pressure on the diaphragm of an in-custody subject because it could kill them, reduce their breathing. They overturned that. I think it's just a brief overturnment because it said you didn't really define it well enough. But if they say don't put a knee on someone, don't do it. Don't figure out a way around it. Don't do it because you're going to end up in prison. And for what? To get an arrest, to get some dope off the street, to get a burglar off the... It's not worth it. You and your family counting you coming home every night and continue to get your paycheck and bring home health insurance and have that pension. If you give it all up because you wanted to get crazy with a jaywalker, if that's what you're into, go ahead. If not, slow everything down. And for our folks, when you need us, call us. When you have questions, call us. You have legal questions, call David, email David. We'll get you the answers. We don't steer you wrong. Last episode, I said I'd have a soundboard. I don't have a soundboard yet. Adela has dropped the ball once again. There's a lot of good things we could have been hitting the soundboard on, but she screwed us. So sorry to our viewers. Mr. Davenport, appreciate the question. And if you've got nothing else, Dan, Steve's got nothing else. Love you all in law enforcement and everyone that listens to the show. Appreciate you. And we'll see you on episode 9.
See you next time.